It's the final day of the CCL play-ins, or rather the LCQs, for week number 1, but that doesn't mean that we're stopping with any of the LCQs next week. It's just for today, and of course this week in general. McCormill with me, Cash, Johnson C. Smith University, University of Southern Alabama. This is one of those matchups where it's a round 2 matchup, so USA Esports, they've already moved on past their first round win, but now they have to go up against a very formidable opponent in Johnson C. Smith University to even think about getting to the qualification round to get into playoffs. Cash, this series looks to be not only difficult for USA Esports, but very treacherous at that.
The work's most definitely cut out for them. They're going up against a JCSU squad that has performed very solidly all year. Have had moments where they've played stronger than others, but have been a team that can consistently put up numbers. And so, yeah, for USA tonight, they're going to have to come out and really take their best shot at this squad. Like you said, they've already got a win under their belt to be in round 2, but it only gets harder from here on out. They know that. They know what they have to come in here and do. And as you've mentioned even earlier tonight, a team playing with nothing to lose can have everything to gain, so they definitely have that in their favor.
Well, don't just take my word for it. We'll show you the statistics between these two teams and how they match up against one another. For Johnson C. Smith, again, the reason they're such a formidable opponent for USA Esports, well, you can see they're 11-9 versus the 6-13 record, but you go down that list, 7-12 for the hardpoint, 11-11 in search and destroy, and 7-7 in control, and Johnson C. Smith has played some really good teams over the course of this year, so they've been tested quite a few times. For the University of Southern Alabama, on the opposite side, 6-13 inside of the hardpoint, 3-12 for the S&D, and 3-8 for control. So not positive in any of the map mode combinations across the board. And then, of course, when you compare that to the Johnson C. Smith University side, Cash, it's not even close.
That's correct. You're at least 500 in every mode for Johnson C. Smith University, and for Southern Alabama, you're just trying to win it. Whenever it's playoff time and it's one loss sends you home, really it doesn't matter. As much as these stats give us insight into what we could and you could even say should be seeing tonight, playoffs can really throw crazy things at you. So for South Alabama, they have to come out and contest this game from the jump. They need to look to keep themselves in striking distance at all times because they don't have any kind of standout or shining mode that they can lean on here, especially against an opponent as formidable as Johnson C. Smith University.
Looking ahead for both of these two teams before we delve into the rosters, the winner of this match will go up against West Virginia for the play-in spot for playoffs. Obviously, if you lose that, you go home, but if you win that, you qualify for playoffs. So that is what is on the line here. We'll meet the side of Johnson C. Smith University first, and we'll get to see what their esports club is going to bring to the table here. Very, very good team overall. I've had the pleasure of watching them a few weeks ago. Got to learn a lot about this roster. But Krezet, Tempest, Easy, and Kazi, I mean, look, Cash, this is one of those teams where I look at them, I see the names, I match them with similar performances to previous outings, and I'm quite happy to say that this is a team come playoffs. If they do make it, it's cause for upsets.
It absolutely is. All 4 of these players, night in and night out, can perform. They play and feed really well off of each other. That's where they found so much success. And like you said, you look at their record, and though they don't bolster a fantastic one, like you said, they've played so many formidable opponents and really given them a good run that this is a battle-tested team going into playoffs. That's the kind of squad I want.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, on the flip side, it's a team that comes in with tons to gain, really nothing to lose, as Cash was alluding to beforehand. The side of this University of Southern Alabama, you've got yourself at the top, Dame, followed by Shuda, Flash, and Jaded. This is a team that I have not personally got to see much of. I will say this, though, from what I have heard about this roster, they have fight, they have grit, they have tenacity. Unfortunately, it's not reflected inside of the record, but that doesn't mean that this team isn't going to come out and give it their all against a very good Johnson C. Smith University, because this is for the season. Again, like, I know it's like you kind of feel like you're beating a dead horse in a sense when you keep saying like, oh yeah, you know, last game of the season, you better show up. But it's true. You have a different mindset when you go into this game against a good team. Like, sure, you're sitting there like, oh man, this isn't going to get any easier for us. Our road is hard, but you have to have the same mindset. Why not us?
You absolutely do, and sometimes you just have to have the heart to want to do it. All of these players are going to have to go out and play with their heart on their sleeves, and sometimes you just have to be a scrappy team. Being a scrappy and gritty team can keep you in series longer than maybe you have a right to be. You know, again, it's hard not to repeat the same storylines like you said, but sometimes it just takes a little bit of heart, the extra bit of hard work to go the extra mile, and that can make the world of a difference in a series.
Yeah, it absolutely can. Well, we've met our teams. We've got our series outlook. Let's go ahead and take a look at our best of 5 map set. And we'll start off with Gavutu for our hard point. Then we'll follow that up with the Desert Siege and the S&D. A Tuscan Control will send us on a map 3. And if we do need to go the distance, which I'm not sure if we will or not, that depends and remains to be seen. But we'll see a Bacage hard point for map 4, and then a Berlin S&D for map 5. Cash, the series we had on Alpha earlier was a barn burner. We got all the way to 4 games. Thought maybe it was going to be a 3-0, so potentially the same kind of circumstance here. Either way, I think overall, just looking at Johnson C. Smith, on paper, they're better in every single mode, so you would expect them to take this in a 3-0 series, but at the same time, I think where you could see Johnson C. Smith maybe slip up just a bit is that search and destroy map 2 on a map like Desert Siege, where if the University of Southern Alabama gets going, they get hot for a specific amount of time, or they're just able to kind of play the map in a really weird, unorthodox kind of way against JCSU. That could be what brings them back in the series, or maybe even elevates them a step further.
That could absolutely be the case. Desert Siege is one of those weird ones where, like you said, you can pull off those, unorthodox plays and have it pay off for you. Given the first couple of maps, it's really going to come and depend on how well the ARs are going to be playing tonight for either squad. But, I mean, we've shaped up the win condition for Southern Alabama. If they want to win, it's got to be just on the back of trusting each other, playing with some grit and some heart especially, but like you said, if you could throw a curveball at a team where they're not expecting it, this is definitely something that could play in their advantage, lean into that underdog storyline. But yeah, Desert Siege is going to be one to keep an eye on as we get on this road of maps.
Gavutu is going to be hard for map number 1, especially for a team to get going in a series. If you're not comfortable with who you're playing with, or you're not practiced on a map like Gavutu, it can be so unforgiving to the rest of your team, and that's where you're going to kind of struggle if you are the University of South Alabama, if you haven't prepared for this JCSU roster, because Johnson C. Smith, when I did watch them a while ago, back on the Alpha stream, they played a Gavutu on hardpoint, and they made it look easy. And with the AR presence that they have consistently throughout a series and throughout the entirety of the CCL season thus far, it's going to be very difficult for USA Esports to be able to keep up on a map like Gavutu unless they've done their homework and are bringing everything they have in the kitchen sink to this series. So again, the win condition, as we kind of talked about, Desert Siege is going to be where we kind of want to see that turn around a bit. The hardpoint obviously could go either way, but when you're looking at this through a realistic sense of mind, and of course through unrose tinted glasses, of course you're going to have to give this one to Johnson C. Smith, at least from a prediction standpoint.
You would have to, as you said, there is the possibility for whether it be a slip up from JCSU or a turnaround from South Alabama. Either way, the win condition set for either squad. They know what they need to do. You're going to play this tough, and as if it's any other opponent that you would. You can't take anything lightly. You're going to have to really be dialed in if you're Johnson C. Smith and not let your foot off the gas if you find yourself up early. For South Alabama, you got to come out swinging here, and on Gavutu Control, any bit of time you get, or Gavutu Hardpoint, any bit of time you get is gonna work miles.
Well, one of these two teams will be going home after this series is over. USA Esports, they found themselves in the point early on. Gunfights go back and forth. It was a 3-up, 3-down for both of the two teams. It was a 1-versus-1 over on the flak tower. Now it's going to be Kaze who's making a flank all the way through and around. So Johnson C. Smith will get into the hill for the first time. Dame's going to be there for a nice quick kill. Kaze in towards the middle, almost able to trade out Dame. But as it goes 2-2, USA Esports will stay inside the hill just for now.
USA hanging and making this P1 very contest heavy. It's going to be a 3-down kill feed in the favor of JCSU, as they already have a couple of players in and around boat with eyes ahead towards P2. That rotation now underway. You clean up and get the scrap time cleanly. You have a slight lead going over to P2, and you have mid-map and boat control. More importantly, all of these players funneling through land bridge for USA.
Bottom of the boat, Flash looking to take the first gunfight and will win the one-on-one. Hops in towards the point, waits for the rest of the Johnson C. Smith players to start making their way up the map. Pretty dormant for now. Nobody really willing to take that gunfight just yet, but as I say that, Kaze will be traded out instantaneously. It's going to be a back-and-forth pinstripe kill feed that allows USA Esports to get inside of the point. Right now it is Johnson C. Smith who has control of the top boat. So you get control of that. You can now push out the spawn side. You just rain hell from above onto the players that are trying to push down below onto the boat, and that's exactly how you go ahead and capture yourself some good time on P2.
And the map spread that JCSU has early on, really for USA Esports, you only have 2 lanes with which to push this through, and they aren't that far apart. With ring control having been had and a player, like you said, raining down fire from top boat, you don't have a lot of options. You're going to be forced to bully out this ringside lane to make this rotation for P3. They do that, but JCSU players are already aware of it and making the rotation and backtracking as well. So a very good P2 hold, now setting themselves up. Not a strong setup for JCSU. If USA try to capitalize, they could get a quick break, but it's JCSU response for the time being.
You don't want to get caught sprinting. Jaded will just sit in the bottom of the tank for now. Flash will find 2. Dane will get the 3rd there as well. So that's a beautiful kill feed now for USA Esports. Kaze from the outside will try to get some shots through the tank onto the player there. You go up towards the top of the flak gun. That's a beautiful one-on-one gunfight win. And just as quickly as the kill feed was white beforehand, now it turns all blue. An unfortunate team kill there will leave a 1 versus 3 back on the point. JCSU, despite losing about 30 seconds of time there, will finally break back in and retain themselves that P3 hold.
And though it's still a 30-point lead, I think for USA Esports, that's a win of a hill. You hold it at about that 30-second mark. So worst case scenario, you're splitting P3 30-30. And right now, you have the rotation for P4. A player falling in the back at the hands of Kaze is going to spell trouble and force these players to turn around. But I think that's a win of a P3 for USA Esports. They've got to find a way to get a big hold once again on P4 and keep themselves in striking distance, like I mentioned at the top of the show. But they lock down rotation for the time being.
Tried to secure the spawns there if you are Kaze while staying on the streak, but at 12-4, you're leading the way for both teams here inside of the game thus far. To the side of USA Esports, you're only down by 40 points, but for 2 players, not really flashy starts whatsoever. Jaded at 2-11, Shuda at 2-9, respectively, apiece. Like, you know, JCSU, they've been winning the slaying battle, but USA Esports, they've gotten themselves good time here and there. Finally, all the way through the back, it is going to be Johnson C. Smith who start making their way back around. They secure themselves the spawns and now can start pushing out USA Esports back over towards P2 and the LST ship. Now it's going to be all about those rotations over towards P5. You just don't want to get too aggressive here if you are USA Esports, because some of the aggression that you've had beforehand forced you to spawn out and gave JCSU a perfect setup for the next hill.
JCSU working across the map very well, and you've been splitting the last 2 hills 30-30, but because you let JCSU get out to a 40-point lead between P1 and P2, you still have a hole to dig yourself out of. You also overextended for a handful of scrap time. Now you left 1 player in Shuda in quite the bind as these JCSU players look to collapse on the hill. It's going to be a foot race over, and one I don't think USA are going to win.
And that's exactly what I was just alluding to beforehand. You know, USA, there was 20 seconds left. All you needed to do was rotate over towards P5, set yourselves up, and then hold the back spawns, get a couple of ARs and power positions in the middle of the map, and you're good to go. Instead, what ends up happening is you push for 20 seconds scrap time. By the time you get there, there's only 10 seconds left. You only ended up getting 5 after the gunfight comes through, and then you lose spawns and next and give JCSU a beautiful opportunity to blow this game completely out of the water before you really even have a chance to get your guns hot.
And that's simply map awareness from the difference between these 2 squads, right? That's just heads-up plays and mistakes that JCSU isn't going to make very often. They're also going to capitalize on that when it comes around. So for USA Esports, definitely a glaring mistake on this map if they end up falling. But one that they could improve and make a change on there is just knowing when to give up that scrap time. It's a young program learning to, still make strides and where they can grow. But we're going to rotate back over to P1. 70 points, it just takes a solid hold for USA Esports. They have yet to show it here, but they've got to find a way to hold on to a substantial bit of time. At most, they've split it 30-30. We're going to have to see something better if they want a chance to take this lead back and close the deficit.
Easy. Continuously on streak after streak, 15-1 thus far here on Kavutu. Only dying 1 time, trying to go for double-digit streaks here. Shot all the way in the back. We'll try to knock him off to the top power position on the LST ship. Nade going to go out over the top, might be able to pick off one or at least pepper the player up, and it absolutely will. Easy will get the final kill there to get 10 in a row. You found yourself double digits. Look back over towards the left side for number 11, and if he would have got that kill on a shooter there, that would have been ridiculous, but it just would have been a testament to how JCSU have been playing so far. Nobody can contest Easy on the top of the LST ship right now. And gosh, at the same time as I'm saying this, you have another boy who's at 20-7, 20-9, both on streaks in their respective ways.
Jaded finally getting Easy off of top boat does open 1 lane. JCSU have done a great job on this right-hand side of the map, looking left, contesting the lanes in which USA have to work out of spawn. Whenever USA finds an opening, they have been taking advantage of it. But at this point, with JCSU being 2 points off of 200, it's just been a very hard game for them to find footing. They just haven't had the pacing to get out of spawn in a timely fashion and make these hills contest worthy. Now opening up with the first bit of P2 time, sure, that's great. You've got a long way to go. go, and you've got to, like you had mentioned, get your guns warm. I don't think you're going to be warranted that time as the kill feed goes blue once again. JCSU in complete takeover.
Unfortunate kill after unfortunate kill, sequential feeding for JCSU. You took so much time to try and get easy off the top of the LST ship that you barely contested for point 1, and when you got set up for P2, you got broken instantaneously. 211 to 95. This game has not been close since the very beginning. USA have had some good moments, but again, it's just the lackluster slaying from the side of USA Esports that really has hampered them all the way to this point, where they're now down by 112 points here on the rotation towards P3, where once again, they don't have those spawns. 3 and 22 from Shuda, 13 and 20 from Jaded, and nobody's having a good game, and it's very blatant at that fact.
The slaying is very much one-sided here, as well as objective time. 3 out of 4 players for JCSU with over 60 seconds of kill time. Not only that, but they've been controlling the kill feed and therefore controlling the map the entirety of this game. All 3 arrows looking right, knowing they have these players spawned in the back, and they're just going to simply hold this from the front, and they're okay with that. They can close it out here unless you're USA Esports and can contest this for a few seconds. Well, this game is going to close out in a dominant fashion for JCSU based on just the lanes and the cuts that JCSU have covered. I don't expect them to be able to get on this. Easy is also going to call in the streak for good measure, but JCSU come out with a stomping, put on the show here in map number 1.
I mean, Easy might only have 4 deaths and 22 kills, but you can't take away what Kreza and Kaze are doing on the opposite side, both with 28 there to end things off. A 250 to 100 point rout of USA Esports to kick things off here inside of the round 2 matchup that is a Northwest Group B. And Cash, that looked like a pub.
It really did, and for JCSU, you like when all of the players are playing loose like that. Of course, you can look at Tempest and say, oh, 15 and 17, but a minute and 18 on the hill. Yeah. These players don't play for individual stat lines. They play to get the job done. So that allows your players like Easy to go 22 and 4, you know, at quadruple, maybe even pentuple positive. I don't even know if pentuple is the word, but we'll roll with it. Kreza also having a wonderful night as well. Slow starts for USA Esports. Of course, you're going to look at that and say that has to turn around going into map number 2, but that's what we had our eyes on anyway.
Just looking down the board, again, you know, it's a great performance by Johnson C. Smith, don't get me wrong, but just on the opposite side, you got to be able to play with more confidence. You have to be able to play with more pace, and when you're taking a lot of gunfights that you're simply just not going to be able to win, it's just going to hamper your team. Like I just go back to where Easy was at the top of the boat, just praying down over on the spawns, literally as a turret on the top of the ship, and they just couldn't get over to P1. That gave JCSU like a free 60 seconds of uncontested time, and it just sucks to say, but you know, map number 1 wasn't great, but you got to say GG go next into the Desert Sea Search and Destroy, because you just got to find something there. But with a 4 and 25 stat line there from Shuda, he's looking like Shuda McGavin against Happy Gilmore. It's just not looking great.
It is not looking great, and if that trend continues, it will be a rough night for this USA Esports squad. A great showing initially for JCSU. They look to replicate that in the Desert Siege Search and Destroy as well, and we've talked about it earlier tonight in previous matches, but if you're slaying well on a hard point, sure, that can carry and have influence in the Search and Destroy, but objective play has to be at the top of your mind at the end of the day. Life advantages can be lost at the drop of a hat, so for JCSU, you just got to stay on track, stay focused, and continue taking care of business against the squad to see round number 3. Still a lot of COD ahead of us, but for JCSU, they've got to be feeling comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like comfortable is almost an understatement at the same time, too, because, like, again, although they still were able to score 100 points on you, you come to expect on a map like Gavutu, where, you know, rotations are very critical, you're okay with giving up 15 to 20 seconds of scrap time to get out and rotate over towards the next point. Yeah. We saw that multiple times from Johnson C. Smith, so that game goes a different way. Maybe it's a different map. I feel like that score line might have been a bit misleading. And again, I'm not saying this to shine negative light on the University of South Alabama. I'm not saying anything negative about this roster. What I'm saying and what I'm doing more or less is trying to lay out what went wrong in map 1 and what they can do to resurrect that come map number 2. And that's the only way that they're going to be able to continue their series going forward. So as we start looking and setting up for this Desert Siege S&D, obviously AR presence is going to be oh so crucial on this map, but also those SMGs getting aggressive in towards that middle building can be so effective if you learn how to play that correctly. At the same time, you can grab a sniper, pull it out, go to the left or the right side of the map, and really hold something down. It just depends on how your team wants to play this map, what you're going to do together as a 4-man unit. and of course your game plan going up against the opposition. Don't be surprised if Johnson C. Smith post up and are really going to start locking down lanes. If you're going to win this game for the side of USA Esports, Cash, it's going to take a lot of gumption, but more importantly, you just got to win your ones.
Yeah, USA Esports is going to have to force JCSU into uncomfortable situations. If you let them sit and hold L triggers like Easy can oh so well and easily with an automaton, it's going to be a very, very quick but long feeling search and destroy for USA Esports. They do open up with the first blood, and that's a way to get things started. But if you can do something even better, as in get Easy off the map, that is going to make this round that much easier.
Unfortunate timing there, so the passive play in the middle of the map is going to award the side of USA Esports with a 4-2 advantage in terms of the lives. I liked how after the first blood, Flash didn't immediately push out to Kreza, who had tried to challenge back, and that gave them the advantage to then get the timing up top in towards that B building side. So, Easy with a sniper, not going to be able to find anything. Kaze, if you want to win this round, you got to clutch in a 1 versus 4. You have 40 seconds left, and the bomb is all the way into the top of the B building.
And you said it at the beginning of this round, if USA wanted to find success, they're going to have to win their ones. Well, they've done just that to open up the search and destroy. It hasn't been the quickest gameplay, but where they've been in situations and taking gunfights, they've won them all. Not a player has fallen. And now, like you said, Kaze, in a 1v4, just trying to stay alive at this point. No real time to go get the bomb and get a plant in. USA Esports not getting overzealous or over-challenging, just holding the line and waiting for Kaze to walk into one of their pre-games. I'm
not sure if Flash actually spotted that player out, but Kaze over the top, looks to turn around, doesn't spot the player out over towards the sands of the B site. So as you walk up the staircase, Flash will find the second for himself in the round, and USA Esports will walk away with a flawless round number 1 here on Desert Siege.
They didn't get over aggressive where they didn't need to, and they played just around the information that they had. A clean round from USA Esports to take that defensive hold. Now, how do they look to play on offense? Obviously, for JCSU, they were not able to get the bomb down. For USA Esports, if they can get an objective plant, and even better, win an offensive round, that would spell huge wonders for the rest of the search and destroy for them.
Got the bomb, working your way over towards that B site, in towards the mid building. Easy with the sniper out, trying to just get a pick all the way across the map. Be so daunting, but a beautiful shot there is going to take the head clean off of Shuda, who is trying to work himself up the map. So, 4 versus 3, bomb will go down, and a retake must happen within the next 37 seconds. And just like that, 2 quick kills come off the board, and all of a sudden it's Flash left alive in a 1 versus 4. He'll spot out the legs, but unfortunately the timing won't be there. The one-on-one gunfight won't go his way. Kreza will find it, and a 4-up, 4 down just as easily as USA took the first round. JCSU will come back with the defensive side of their own.
They attacked quickly on the retake. That didn't allow for South Alabama to get in a comfortable post-plant setup. B is a weird one to get set up in a post-plant. You don't really have an opportunity to quickly make that play. They never had mid-map control, and therefore JCSU were able to flood out of bottom University and find those kills with ease. So for USA Esports, it's just playing that at a different angle, making sure you have a couple more cuts covered before you get that bomb down at B. Otherwise, you allow full-on collapse to happen, such as that. Now, on defense, they get to respond as well. And once again, it's a 1-2-1 split, top, bottom, middle side of the map.
Trade there on the Dane comes from the hands of Tempest and his MP40. Multiple 2s across the board here for Johnson C. Smith to open up the side of the search and destroy. Easy will find another kill across the map with the sniper. I mean, Flash starting to get a bit aggressive. Actually gets great timing to get over towards that B bomb. So Flash isn't going to realize that the player's behind him. He'll get the audio cue here in a second and be like, hey, by the way, they're planting the bomb. It's just unfortunate here, but he might get some great timing. Tempest around the corner will win the one-on-one.
Great timing for Tempest to take that, and Jaded and this USA Esports squad knows Easy is playing out in these dunes. You've got to work that pick first, because so long as he has eyes over this bomb, it is going to be nearly impossible to make a retake. Of course, you have Tempest sitting on the site as well, but with about 13 seconds left to make a play and be able to get the defuse, Jaded is going to have to go big here, and not getting that kill may have just chalked the round.
Oh, and it's so difficult, too, because you throw out the stun, and unfortunately, at the same time, you're not able to get your gut up the second that you see him jump across your screen. So you were trying to get some information, maybe find a check there. Unfortunately, it doesn't come to fruition, and the 1 versus 2 opportunity comes to a halting close as Tempest once again starts to find his way throughout the map. with that MP40, which can be so devastating here on Desert Siege. I know I said this was a long-range map. ARs and snipers, yes, they're going to be what really takes the map over when you get into a post-plant setup or just finding those first bloods, but just as easily, that MP40 can survive in the middle of the map in that building where you can get a bit mixy, find those first bloods, or of course those picks that are going to be oh so crucial towards the end of a round.
USA Esports looking to get a switch up on offense and look to work this A plant because it gets eyes on it and is relaying that information. The mid map is won once again by JCSU, so not as comfortable putting down the bomb on this A site given that they lost the mid map battle and are now in a 3v4 situation. With that information being relayed, these JCSU players should be more than aware of where these players are trying to play. Easy finds a pick with the sniper, and really they just aren't giving any information up and taking it all for themselves. This has been clinical S&D ever since the first round from JCSU.
Easy got overzealous there. Rather, excuse me, Dame did, as he spotted Kaze, who had jumped out from the top power position across the map, but same time, Jada just found himself 2 quick kills. So, with that being said, you now find yourself in a position where it was a 1 versus 4. You get the second kill, but now Easy with the sniper looking all the way out over towards the left side. Is going to get a hit marker on him. Pistol out over the top. Jaded has to go ahead and challenge the kill, or else you're just going to be stuck between a rock and a hard place, and the player that'll come around for a pinch play, you lose the gunfight to the pistol at longer ranges. And now it's JCSU, who once again find another round on the board. They've got 3 straight rounds for themselves after it was USA Esports who took the first of the S&D.
And what needs to change for USA Esports to begin taking rounds back is going to be 1, winning in the first blood battle, but 2, I think that comes with winning in the mid-map. They haven't had very much mid-map presence, and whenever they have fallen and lost their gunfights. Finding Easy, of course, in whatever lane he's opting to play with the sniper and trying to challenge that, whether it's closing distance with an MP40 or automaton, but finding a way to eliminate that long line of sight for JCSU. That's what USA have to do. Of course, that is quite the laundry list of things, but it is possible, and they open up with the first blood here, so a retake is possible for the squad.
Beautiful kills, but you've only got 35 seconds to work back over, and the sniper is still all the way outer, looking for a pick. Watching over the bomb. You got to look for player number 5, though, in Jaded, who's trying to make a play all the way out towards that right side. Kreza is going to back all the way off, and his flash is able to find the kill onto the player of Easy. It's a 1 versus 4 now from Kreza. Around the corner, going to get the player off of the bomb, but unfortunately won't do anything else to help it on out. Shooter will wait for the teammate to get back around to the bomb, and they'll go ahead and find their second round in the S&D. So, finally, something good on the defensive side for USA Esports. They make some good adjustments. They find those first couple of kills, and they get themselves back up and going once again.
Won the first bloods, put themselves in a good and favorable position for a retake. As you said, USA Esports make adjustments necessary, find themselves another round on the board, and once again keep themselves within striking distance here in the search and destroy. Now they're going to find themselves on an offense where they have yet to find much success. B, they did get the bomb down, but without mid-map control, it was a very quick retake out of Johnson C. Smith University. And A, they got found out before they could even get over there, so they're going to look to get a B hit, but with players playing a bit passively and JCSU getting aggressive, yeah, that's going to be that.
At first, I was like, did Dane just watch him sprint past him and not react at all? I was like, surely not, but he did. So Kreza will jump down from behind. 3 versus 2 now. Johnson C. Smith will find yet another kill, and this time it's going to be Shuda in a 1 versus 3. It's going to have to help out the rest of his team. Technically be the ace for the round still, so... And he runs away. Silent. Kreza trying to chase down from behind. Top of the window. Over on the train side. That's a GG JCSU with another round.
Though it's only a 2-round lead, it has felt like JCSU has been in control of this entire thing. Now, I will give South Alabama the credit. The rounds that they won have been very good rounds. They play poised and controlled, and they play slow, and that's kind of what they like. There, that round instantly blew up in their face because they played a little passive. I know it was the first 10 seconds, but in that time, JCSU were able to get across the map and be all in your face at the B-bomb site. So whenever USA Esports can control the tempo, they are finding success, but they have no way to counter the aggression, but also that long-range sniper from JCSU. It's a wonderful balance from that squad.
For a second there, I got spooked a bit myself there because I thought that was somebody else behind Krez on the opposition. I thought somebody from USA Esports just didn't shoot their gun once again, rather reaction to it. So 6 kills leads the way in the S&D for Tempest. Bomb will go down over towards that B site yet again, and in towards the top of the middle building. It is going to be yet another kill that goes to the hands of Tempest in the round. 1 versus 4 from Jaded. You just got to play your life here, not feed streaks, and unfortunately, you have another player who's just trying to fly across the map to find you. A 5-2 lead now gives JCSU the advantage at match point. They win this. They'll be at series point and 1 map away from being able to play West Virginia in a qualification round for the playoffs.
The mid-map control has been everything for Johnson C. Smith University, and boy, have they capitalized on it. I mean, everyone positive for the team. Jaded for USA Esports, unfortunately being left in 1v odd situations, and JCSU just capitalizing on everything USA Esports are giving them on the map. Once again, it's B aggression coming in from JCSU, and wouldn't you know it, they're already in your spawn and about to start shooting players in the side.
4 in a row from Tempest. We'll get shot over the top from Jaded. USA Esports slowly but surely working this bomb over towards that A site, or at least that's where it looks like it'll be going. However, Dame will pull a 180 on his teammates and myself, now wrapping it back over towards A. Can hop out the window, try and help out the rest of your team go for some kills, and that was a beautiful play that gets behind Kaze, but unfortunately, Kreza's still up and over the top, so they know that you're going to be on that B bomb. You still have the man advantage. All it's going to come down to is who is going to be able to win the one-on-one in the back spawn, or if you'll be able to spot out Kreza, who's inside the bottom building.
Kreza in an oh-so-sneaky spot. This train battle is going to be huge. Kreza wins it, so that puts so much pressure on Jaded to now get across the map. If they want to hop this defuse, they can. That's what they're going to look to do, but Jaded could get wonderful timing here to kill the person off bomb. They would have to win both gunfights in order to take this. Unfortunately, the mantle is not going to be ready. The bomb stick comes in. JCSU take map number 2.
Few good rounds in there from USA Esports. It was a lackluster search and destroy there, though, towards the end. Johnson C. Smith is going to go ahead and find themselves their second map in this best-of-5 series and keep the ball rolling towards a 3-0 sweep so they can play up against West Virginia come next week and try to get their hand at finding their way into the playoffs. Either way here, Cash, as we look at the scoreboard real quick, we just take a look at our statistics. 9 and 5 from Tempest leads both teams. And once again, for USA Esports, all-around slaying wasn't great. Jaded had a decent performance there, but a lot of the kills that the entire team just got as a whole kind of were leading into empty situations where they were just in 1v odd situations, and they just are kind of, boosters on the scoreboard, but really nothing else besides that.
Yeah, and another glaring statistic is the 16 non-traded kills for the side of JCSU. If you are Johnson C. Smith University, you'll take that every day of the week, of course, for USA Esports. As that started to slip away from them, we started to see the scoreline get a bit more drastic. So congratulations for JCSU for setting themselves up for a match point, like you said, to possibly advance to round number 3. They're taking care of business in this series, and of course it's too early to give complete pats on the back and salute this one. USA Esports still with the opportunity to turn around. We've seen flashes and glimpses of success. It's just not been enough to amount to anything more than 100 points in a hard point or 2 rounds in the search and destroys. So do they have enough in them to really push themselves over the distance to make a win happen in this series? We'll have to find out. But we have seen glimpses of hope. And again, nothing's impossible, but the way JCSU's playing, been a bit too dominant.
I don't think I could have said that better myself, Cash, but as we take a look at our map set real quick, before we send things to a break, we've got ourselves a Tuscan Control coming up just shortly when we come back, but Johnson C. Smith, I mean, for map 1, scoreline may be a little misleading. It was utter dominance from start to finish on that Kavutu. We went to the Desert Seas S&D, and then it was a 6-2 win there as we just concluded, so now we go to a Tuscan Control, where at match point, JCSU are sitting with a beautiful 2-0 lead in their midst. USA Esports, they're going to have to overcome not only a Mount Everest climb, but probably maybe even a deep dive to the bottom of the Mariana Trench if they want to be able to come back inside of this best-of-5 series. So with that being said, we're going to send things to a quick break. But when we come back, the conclusion potentially of this series, and we'll see if USA Esports has what it takes to be able to start the reverse sweep against a very strong Johnson C. Smith University. it's been a one-sided affair thus far. Johnson C. Smith University have had themselves firm control. They're in the driving seat of a tank right now with a 2-0 lead and a barrel staring directly down at the side of the University of South Alabama, going into a map of Tuscan where there's plenty of tanks to be able to fire on all cylinders throughout that map. My name is McCormiel. With me is Cash, and I must say I'm just extremely proud of how this duo has been able to grow over the course of the last few weeks. Cash has blossomed into one of the best commentators that I've been able to work with inside of Call of Duty in such a short amount of time. So show Cash some love, please, because it's been a pleasure to be able to bring you guys collegiate Call of Duty the last couple of weeks with an incredible young talent.
I appreciate that, Corn, truly, and I wouldn't have had the growth that I've had without, someone like you in my corner. And as my duo, you really helped to bring me out of my shell here as we've been in the postseason, and I can't wait for the growth that we have going forward. So a little sappy gas going into a Tuscan control. I appreciate it, though, really. It's been a blast, and everyone here that works behind the scenes and in production for College COD are just putting in overtime all the time, and so it's been a joy to be on board.
One big family here at the CCL, but one thing I will say is, the people that I work with are some of the best in the business, and I wouldn't trade that for anything. So even being able to cast over, just JCSU and USA Esports for the final map of control here, it's just a blessing every single day. So I know a little sappy moment there. Yes, I get it, but like you guys, it's.
Let us have it,
So I don't care. That's at the end of the day, I don't care. I don't care if you don't care. Like,
hey, I got no problems on this end.
Tuscan Control coming up next. Johnson C. Smith with a 2-0 lead. USA Esports trying to go ahead and start the reverse sweep. So. We talked before break. It's like, yeah, they can do it. Anybody can do something. It's the fact of actually doing it that is the biggest problem overall. And after the first two maps, there's been some okay moments, but the same problem persists, and it's the biggest problem that any team is going to face before they can fix anything else, and that's being able to slay out and win one-on-one gunfights against the other team.
Yeah, that really has been the glaring point of this series that you can look at and say this is where USA Esports have fallen short. Again, it is never over until it's over. Now, does that mean it's likely? Not necessarily, but as we were saying going into the break, USA Esports, they have had moments where they've shown potential. It hasn't been enough to amount to much, but we do see it there nonetheless, and whether that ends up being something they can build upon for next season, we'll come to find out. But for Johnson C. Smith University, the more important talking point for them is not to let off the gas. You don't want to start having mental errors and extend this series longer than it needs to be. You want to take care of business and get focused and have eyes on round 3 as you look ahead. But with one map still left to go, it's time to dial up, dial in, and take care of business, close the series out.
One map, one control, one opportunity for USA Esports to bring this series back to life. Tempest tries to slide in towards the bottom of the church, but the automaton there of Dame will go ahead and shut that down for now. 2 lives make it 3 off the board for USA Esports early on over towards that A zone. It's the side of JCSU who have gotten there first. They're looking for that first tick of progress and more. And as you win that one-on-one gunfight there, that's going to be good enough at least for a third of progress on that A site. Minute and 17 left and a lot of time for JCSU to be able to work their way around the map.
Couple arrows looking towards this B site as player 1 and Kreza has also slipped through enemy lines. So they're just going to leave it up to Easy over on the A site to try and get the rest of this progression and a contest and a gunfight going to be asked of him to win. But they're also taking care of business on the other side of the map. So their focus is going to be on this more difficult site to at least look forward at ticks of progression as the game goes on. But with complete map control and then some, JCSU sitting very comfortably to kick this off.
Wouldn't you know, beginning of a respawn and Easy not dying yet. 2 things that are very, very common inside of this best of 5 thus far. 4 in a row, completes the entirety of the A site by themselves. And of course, while everybody else was slaying out around the map, just trying to get a look over towards that B zone, it's been the side of Johnson C. Smith that's had complete control of the middle of the map. So you see everybody in the back line holding their head glitches, holding their pre-aims, just making sure those left triggers are good enough to stop a push from JCSU. Unfortunately enough, it's going to be just enough for now. As you cut down 2, it's going to force the side of Johnson C. Smith to wait just a minute for everybody to get back up the map and for the reinforcements to once again supplement a push.
And I love how Easy is playing this. Got the kill off back tank, but didn't get over aggressive. Waited for teammates to come in 2p4, and is really just going to try to bait for an easy kill here to get streaks. Isn't able to snap on Shuda on the back tank, but the trade does come in. So though they lost back control, they still have P4 and Church control. An unlucky spawn coming in for them as they're about to get shot in the back. Players for USA Esports spawning up in Church, so they lose the presence that they had. But as quickly as they lost it, they look to regain here. USA Esports holding on, just needing 60 seconds left, down 6 lives.
Krez on 4 in the bottom of the Church, looking for a few players that might get a bit dastardly and start to make their way in towards the bottom. Tempest turns around and will find the player who's in the top of the radio side. Easy looking for the back player on the Heglich. Shuda, who has not had a great series thus far, has culminated here for more kills in the first round of the Control, but with the hard point in the Search and Destroy combined. 14-8 overall, a 6-life disparity with 50 seconds left in the round. Johnson C. Smith still has some time to work here. They're just trying to dwindle those lives down a bit more and play the glorified team deathmatch opposed to just 9.
Kreza on 6 could open this up with full streaks that would obviously come into effect as the game goes on. Kills go their way on plat, but with 30 seconds left and no respawns remaining for USA Esports, as you had mentioned, it's going to be a little game of TDM here. Of course, they're going to dip a toe on the point to try and stop the clock, but for the time being, if you're USA Esports, you are winning, and no one is here for JCSU, so with one more wipe, you could get this done. It's a matter of how well you look to play your lives.
Kreza on 6 looking for number 7. Would be the glide bomb to go along with it. Through the bars up in the top. You lose aim assist through there, but you're able to go ahead and find the kill there onto Jaded. So, you got a lightning, or I was about to say a lightning strike, dude. I'm back. I've been playing way too much. I've been playing way too much Black Ops 3 the last couple of days, but 8-2 now. You look for the final push. Krez has also gotten himself going here inside of the game. One thing leads to another, and the last player alive on USA Esports will push around the corner. It's either that, you fall, or you go ahead and stop the contention here. For the top of radio, you're going to go ahead and get caught off guard. So, Johnson C. Smith, first round of the Control. Not that anybody really expected too much different, but USA did give them a bit of trouble through the mid portion of that section.
Again, that's been those little moments for USA Esports. I just don't know that they have enough to amount that into anything more. But nonetheless, like you said, Shuda coming out and playing a bit better in this map than he has the series thus far. Dame also having a decent start here in the Control now on an offense. They're going to have to find a way to not only capture A, try to keep life close, and get 2 ticks at B. So once again, their work is very much cut out for them, but they are going to quickly get over to this A site, ready for this mid-map hit coming in from JCSU.
Team Nate in the middle of the map will cut down some of the pressure from the defensive side that was in towards L, and maybe cuts off a potential flank opportunity there from JCSU. Either way, flashing towards the point, we'll go ahead and pop for 2. So that's 2 nice ticks on the A site that you got off of the nice slaying performance here on the offensive side so far. Johnson C. Smith, you can see him in the middle of the map and just waiting for a push over towards B. They didn't really care about holding that A site after they lost those 2 lives. They're just going to make sure that they can sit on the Heglitches in the middle of the map, and of course the power positions, and just let Kreza do his thing back in the spawn side of USA Esports.
Holding pre-aims and 1 roaming Slayer is how JCSU opts to play these roof spawns coming in for USA Esports. They gave up the A site for free, as you were mentioning, but that's because they are very comfortable with how they can have this defensive hold, knowing exactly where they're going to be pinning these players. You're going to trust Easy to at least take a couple of these players down before inevitably getting traded out. There's 1, not quite 2 before running out of ammo, but the rotation is in, the pinch is on. JCSU looking to collapse.
And the problem there is, right, is you're losing precious time because you're so terrified of Kreza on the flank there, and you're just trying to clear out your spawn before you even push into the P5 building. And then, again, while you're wasting the time there, then you're just getting cut down from streaks and everybody that's just holding the pre-aims waiting for you to push out a P5 because they know exactly where you are. So, also, another thing that I saw there, I think, as well, 3 automatons out for USA Esports on this map. That's never going to really lead you to an upstanding scoreline or usually a win because of how close range Tuscan can be, especially when you're trying to get in towards that in the middle of the church.
The only way that could work out is on defense, where you can set yourself up in power positions for long lines of sight. But as you said, with time being a problem for most offensive teams, you're not going to be able to bully out P5 with 3 automatons. That's just not going to be the case. We don't see that coming in here. They try to switch up their push and go through P4, but with one player left standing, it's just a bit too much right now. The lives only at 6, though it feels a bit worse for them. And 40 seconds left. It's been Johnson C. Smith University in complete control. USA Esports Church is the furthest they have been, and from spawn and closest to this B site with a 2-2 split. And if they can find a couple kills to go their way, they could get a decent look here at this B site.
Flash on the backside spawn. Unfortunate timing there. Easy will find one. Okay, that was another situation where it was just like, I don't know how or why, but maybe he just thought it was a teammate that was running on through. Either way, his teammate picks up another one all the way across the map. So everybody fell from the side of USA Esports. Kreza's in the middle of the map once again on 3 in a row, just playing with the pistol. Almost gets turned on there and finally does. So at least some confidence there to maybe one player as you're feeling a bit better about yourselves. But Johnson C. Smith on the defensive side will go ahead and hold strong for a 2-0 lead here on Tuscan. You got to think, with the way things have gone thus far and how good the slaying has been on the side of Johnson C., this should be another offensive round win here and a 3-0 to close out the control in the series.
You would think that, and if they lose it, I believe it would be to fault of their own. They don't appear to be taking their foot off the gas by any means, but this is definitely not one where you want to give up a round unnecessarily. On offense, of course, you still have the task of going back-to-back and winning that. It did come down to less than 60 seconds for JCSU to win and them having to take it to lives, but aggressive once again through the mid-map is going to be Tempest is going to find one, chases the second, and like you said, once a player gets in your spawn, it just feels like whether you're on offense or defense, you're constantly having to look over your shoulder, and like you said, that eats up clock, whether on offense that's getting to a site or defense that's rotating over to where the offensive team is. It's just a problem. Tempest and Kreza have been doing that the entire map.
You know, I'm going to take a tangent real quick, but, you know, when we were talking about the offensive and defensive rounds, it just reminded me the other day. I was just playing some league play with a couple of friends, and we played Tuscan Control, and the entire map was offensive round wins. Not a single defensive round was won. Oh, wow. And I was in disbelief. Like, I genuinely couldn't believe. I was like, dude, there's not a shot nobody won a defense.
Yeah, I guess on Tuscan that would make a bit more sense. If that was Gava2, I probably wouldn't have believed you. But it is super strange whenever you get offensive heavy rounds. If JCSU go back-to-back, well, not back-to-back offenses, but 2 out of the 3 round wins are offenses, that still is impressive nonetheless. USA Esports kind of a bit flustered and floundering at the moment around the map. JCSU looking like they've had right side of the spawn maps this entire time, and I just realized they don't even have all of it yet. It's just been TDM for them for the moment.
I mean, it's what they did the last time, too. Like, Easy set up by himself over on the site, went on a little force spree to start the game off while everybody else was out slaying around the map and then just working their way over towards B. And they just are consistently playing this ping-pong game where they're sending USA over towards A and then sending them back to B and doing it over and over and over again. And at the same time, while they've done that, they've gone ahead and secured themselves the B point and now can work their way back over towards A. And especially since USA have taken everybody away from that A zone, yeah, sure, you're going to get a couple to spawn close, but you've already got player number 4 and Easy who's just going to be on that site, stopping the time, and as well as letting the reinforcements start to work their way through the map, and just let Tempest go on a 9 spree all the way through the spawn side and not let anybody touch the point.
If you're JCSU, you have multiple ways to get it done. They're like a tactical army knife of a team, whether it's Tempest earning a 9 streak and flying around in your spawn, killing people, or it's the entire team just holding pre-aims. They can do whatever the map demands of them, and they come in here and take care of business against USA Esports. Just 1 tick of progression needed before they find themselves advancing in their LCQ run, only needing 1 more round win to advance to playoffs. And the way they're playing now, I'm definitely doing my homework if I'm West Virginia.
Tempest making their way up the map. Last tick of progress on the A site about to be completed. JCSU trying to go ahead and move on to the next round where they'll play West Virginia to try and qualify for the 64-team CCL playoffs. They'll capture the last tick over on the A site, and as quickly as the 3-0 came on Tuscan, the 3-0 of the series went as well. USA Esports, it was a phenomenal season. You had yourself great opportunities, and being able to get to the stage of the LCQ is a feat like none other as well. Pat yourselves on the back for a nice season. We hope to see you back inside of the CCL next year or whenever the next season does begin, and of course with a better outlook and a lot more practice under the belt as well. There's a great foundation for the side of the University of Southern Alabama, and we hope to see them back here next year as well. But we'll look at the statistics here. 24-13 from Kreza, Tempest at 20-13. Down the board, it was all JCSU every single map throughout the entirety of the series. And Cash, I say this with there's a lot of genuine aspect of me that is saying this. GCSU come playoffs are going to be a team that can make a run to top 32, top 24, top 16. And they might be in a situation where they're having to play through the LCQ. This is a team that when they show up are good, very good.
Well, and it's scary because you have so many pieces to account for. It was Easy in the respawn and takeover mode. There, it was Kreza and Tempest, and then in the search and destroy, all 4 players at some point were popping off. It's just such a well-oiled machine, and again, they just give what the map takes them, or they take what the opposition gives them as well. So, like you said, with a team that is that willing to adapt to the gameplay and to the map, that is very hard come playoff time, like you said, because that can allow for a deep run. They play to how the other team gives them, and that's just perfect for adjustments. They found themselves in wonderful positions and put themselves in great positions throughout that series.
Well, it was a fun night of CCL action here on the Bravo stream, but that will do it for us here for this week. Alpha matches are still going on right now with I Hold Shift and Visions bringing you through all of the fun up there. It's Clemson Esports versus the side of Alabama Huntsville, and they are also playing for a spot to try and get to the qualification round of the CCL playoffs. 64 teams will be making the playoffs. 64 teams will be duking it out to be crowned the Season 4 champion of the CCL. And of course, as things ramp up in towards the playoffs, you're not going to want to miss everything. Next week on Alpha and Bravo, we'll have more matches coming your way as we will for the next few weeks. But next week, we'll start the playoff groups as well as finishing up the LCQ. That's going to do it for myself and Cash, though. Again, thank you for joining us here on the Bravo stream. The Alpha stream is still going on, so you'll go ahead and find yourselves over there after this is over. Either way, stay safe, have a fantastic night, and we'll see you back at 7:30 Eastern next week for the continuation of the CCL playoffs.